I'm nervous.
You're out of
Like,
practice.
Hey, David, I missed what you said about that. You kill it?
Yeah, kill it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Mail.
I forgot how to podcast, so I
No.
don't know what to do now. I feel really awkward.
Well, step one: do not immediately fall and hit your head.
Oh god. Dude, that was seriously like, oh my god, that's probably like the worst thing that's ever physically happened to me. Like,
Well, I should hope. I mean, if something worse had happened to you, like, how are you not dead?
Yeah, I mean, there's like an 8-hour window of my life from about 7 p.m. Tuesday night till about 4 o'clock Wednesday morning. I don't remember anything.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I don't remember I pretty much don't remember anything. It's like I remember getting chased by a dog, and I remember vomiting at least once, and that's it. Wow, this sounds like a drug story, doesn't it?
It does.
It really does sound like a drug story. Yeah. So yeah, I forgot we were live. No, I'm not talking about
asphalt.
Yeah. I had a bicycle accident and met the road at 25 miles an hour head first. So that's what I was actually talking about, not a drunk story. I was actually sober during this ride. But yeah, it was terrible. It was awful. And then the next day is just like a fog. I don't even know what happened. I think I slept most of the day.
Well, it's good that you did the sleeping well after the hitting of the head.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me sleep for some number of hours. I don't know.
I'm putting my name on things. This is habit.
No, don't put your name on the things.
My name on them. What are you going to do about it?
I'm not going to do anything about it.
Good.
Because...
Okay. All right. I have 6 questions. So if all of you get 2 of them each, well, you can't. So somebody's going to have to get last place. But you could all tie for first. You 3 if you could tie for first.
I'm actually kind of bummed out because this is the first version of Android that was released like before I gave a shit about Android.
I only kind of gave a shit, so it's okay.
Yeah, I was like when Froyo was announced, I was still like a huge BlackBerry fanboy.
The dark years.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. What are you talking about questions?
I'm doing some trivia each week.
Okay.
The
Some
version of
Froyo
Android.
Like questions like, which has more calories per serving, ice cream or Froyo?
Oh, come on. That one's too easy. It's which one has more calories per serving, cookies and cream Froyo or sugar-free French vanilla Froyo? That's the question.
I'm going to say sugar-free French vanilla because it's the one I don't expect.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. I always eat cookies and cream Froyo when I go to, like, Sweet Frog or any place like that. So
Why do frozen yogurt places have the weirdest names? Like, why is
Yeah,
that?
I think you just made that up. Did you?
No, seriously, Google it.
No,
Sweet
Sweet
Frog.
Frog's-
There was a place by me in Louisville called Sweet Frog, and there was another one called...
That sounds so southern. I refuse to believe.
No, it's totally true.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real. It's there used to be like 3. There's also Frozen Berry, and there's one more here in Rockwall. I can't remember.
Pinkberry. Pinkberry's a huge one.
Pinkberry is a big one.
Oh, Pinkberry, yeah.
Golden Spoon.
The golden spoon.
Red
Golden Spoon might
Mango.
be California only. I'm not sure.
Red Mango is one.
Hey, you know the Pinkberry guy. You guys probably read about this. He beat some homeless guy to death
Oh.
with a crowbar on the side of the freeway. Yeah, pretty good deal.
No.
What,
Did this happen?
so-
Is this internet lore, or is this something?
No. It happened a few years ago in Los Angeles. He got pissed off at some homeless guy he thought was hitting on his girlfriend in the car. Got out of the car and beat the guy with a tire iron.
That was good.
So, did he go to prison, or
Yeah,
were they
he
just
did.
like...
He did do that.
Oh, I was wondering if they were like, fuck it, the dude was homeless anyway. So, you know, that's interesting. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
he got 7 years of prison.
7 years in prison for beating a homeless man to death with a tire.
Maybe it wasn't to death.
Maybe not all the way to death.
Maybe not. Maybe only like 2/3 to death.
Oh no, he didn't die. Never mind. He got a concussion and suffered a broken arm.
Oh, so basically he just beat him like a little girl would beat.
I thought he died because the sentence was so severe. 7 years for assault. I mean, it was a pretty brutal assault, but yeah. So Pinkberry guy, yeah, he went to jail.
Well, he doesn't sound like a nice man.
Well, the main reason he did it was because the dude had a tattoo of stick figures having sex.
That's true.
What?
Yeah, he found that very offensive.
Is this real? Like, is this a joke now?
No.
It did not just like transform into a joke.
Apparently,
so weird about
apparently
this.
after this happened, he left, got somebody to come back with him, and then beat him. So I think that's how you get 7 years.
Yeah, I guess so. That's a little bit of premeditation.
I'm so enraged by this that I'm gonna go home, pick up an accomplice, and come back and beat you within an inch of your
By the
life.
tattoo?
Over
I'm
a
very
tattoo of
confused.
stick figures having sex. So
I'm gonna go get a tattoo. Actually, I don't want it to be a real tattoo. I'm gonna draw on myself with a Sharpie 2 stick figures having sex and go find the Pinkberry guy and just be like, come at me,
Well,
bro.
I guess he's still in prison, right? So
Yeah.
I'll go to the prison and find him. And
just
be
taunt
like,
him. Go to visiting hours, like,
I'll
hey,
taunt
guess
it through the
what?
glass. Like,
What
I'll
about
have
this?
like right here on my forehead, stick figures having sex drawn on there. And be like, what's up, man? I'm here to see you. You don't know me, but we can be friends, buddy, baby boy.
why am I not seeing the post, yo?
The post should be on the front page.
Because you're on page 2, apparently, brother.
I'm on page androidpolice.com/podcast. Yeah, it's weird. It's on the main page, but it's not on the podcast page, which is where I always get it.
Oh, we changed that.
What the hell are you talking about?
I think Artem changed that.
I see.
No, we didn't. No, wait. If I go to androidpolice.com/podcast, it loads up the right post.
It must be cache.
Maybe a logged-in issue. One of those problems we cannot resolve. Alright, let me social this here real quick. Facebook pulls like the oldest title it possibly can from a URL if you ever manually share.
Really?
It pulled the one all the way from June 4th.
That's interesting because I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I always find that it pulls like the newest ones for me. I don't know.
I don't believe you.
Oh. Well, that's
Why can't you
okay.
just gonna
Throw
else
that out there.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready to go?
I don't know how to go.
Okay, are we ready to go then?
Oh. I am perhaps
ready
ready.
I'm ready to do either, I guess. I'll play
Let's
fast news.
let's do the thing. If you want to.
I mean, I guess.
Let's make it happen.
Captain.
Let's make it happen.
You gonna start with a pre-roll, David?
Oh yeah, I guess, sure. This week's Android Police podcast is brought to you by Simple, a better way to do online banking. Check them out. It's simple.com/androidpolice to help support the show.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly for all things Android. It is Thursday, August 27th, 2015. I'm your host, Smith.
I'm David Ruddick. We might have to redo that, because did everybody else hear Matt cut out a lot?
I
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
I did hear Matt cut out a lot. I'm also Cameron
Well,
Sutherland.
that sucks.
Yes.
On
Your
the
video
plus
quality this week is quite unfortunate.
On the plus side, your pre-roll was very pleasant, David.
Thought I'd bring it down a notch, a little smoother.
Yeah, it was
It was very it was so smooth. It was you're like the Whiteberry Manilow.
All right, is it better now, or?
Yeah, kinda. It looks like your video got better.
Well, the quality. I leave the bandwidth on my video.
Your audio is still cutting out oddly.
Well, son of a bitch.
Oh, Hangouts. Why you do this to me?
I blame Ohio.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think this is Ohio internet.
Damn it, Ohio! Why you do this to me?
Anything good ever come out of Ohio? I don't think so.
Just Matthew Smith. And definitely not LeBron. Just wanted to point that out before somebody said that.
I don't think anyone was going to say that. So
I wanted to make okay.
Well, for the record, I'm not going to say anything about Derrick Rose either, so we'll just leave it.
Oh no, we don't touch that one. We don't touch that one because that's bullshit. Okay. I won't. I'm very upset about that.
All right, am I sounding any better now?
Maybe.
I guess we'll find out.
We will find out.
We should find out. Let's find out by me doing the intro over again.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Android Police weekly audio source for all things Android.
No, just not going to work there, is it?
Is it clipping? Is it?
No, it's just like stopping completely.
Droppage, yeah.
Yeah, it's like jumping.
How about now? How does it sound?
You're using your laptop microphone.
Huh?
You switch microphones.
But
yeah, I did.
Now you, you
muted
yourself. Oh, now you're still skipping.
Yeah, that was even worse. It was like zip it. That's what I heard.
It's almost like it's like not, hearing you loud enough or something, and it's dropping the sound. I don't know. It's not that you're quiet though.
Well, let me mess with my gain then. Hold on. So I've been assuming it's the USB dropping out, but it could be.
Yeah, I'd also make sure in Windows that your recording level is set to 100.
Is that better?
Just set it over 9,000.
Yeah, over 9,000. It does let you put in any number you want.
well, let's give it a shot. See if it works.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. We're trying to get a small sound issue worked out if you were just joining us.
Okay, how's it sounding now?
You probably have to keep talking for more than like 3 seconds.
3 seconds should be plenty. I mean, if I'm going to say anything important, it's going to be in the first 3 seconds anyways.
It looked like it cut out for a bit. Let's just try it again and see what happens.
Okay. Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, 7th, 2015. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Ruddick.
I'm Cameron Summerson.
I'm Liam Spratlan.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
So, was that usable? Was that?
Yeah,
okay?
you garbled a little bit at the end, but it's fine.
Yeah, it sounded better.
Well, that was actually the way I was talking.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's still getting all skippy. It's like almost like you're getting a little pop at the end too, like something's feeding back, but I'm not sure what it is that would be causing that. How close is your microphone to your face?
About 10 inches.
Ooh, that might be it.
It's actually further than it was the previous weeks.
Yeah, it might be too far away, I mean.
Okay. Well,
it sounds
I would still like to have a
maybe
keyboard.
Hangouts is thinking that you're going quiet and trying to cut you off or something. I'm not sure.
Let me...
Typing's overrated. You don't need a keyboard.
Totally. So I wrote down my trivia questions, and I didn't write down the answers, though. So I have to remember the answers as well. So we'll see how that goes.
So it might be trivia for yourself also.
camera was in fact stuck on me. Wade County is like our official camera spotter. It's because he's watching on his TV. Or wait, is that Freak for Dell that does that?
Oh wow, we're on TV. How about that?
That's a few people, actually. There are a few people who does that. Hey, how awesome would it be if I stream the podcast on the TV behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't work at all. I should try it, but it wouldn't work. I mean, it would work, but I think it would cause some sort of weird issues.
It would give people.
I mean,
like,
I have it on my
motion
laptop sitting over there beside me, and it doesn't actually cause any. The space-time continuum has not yet been torn asunder.
Okay, I'm talking, and you guys can just like interrupt me if I get warbled or anything like that right now, because I just
Well, you got warbled at the beginning there.
Let's just go with
just
it.
at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, well, you know what? We'll do it again, and if you just cut them all together, you'll have one full intro that isn't.
A super cut.
This time, I don't warble at the end, and I warble at the beginning. Does that sound good?
Okay. Let's go for the warble at the end.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, August 27th, 2015. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Ruddock.
I'm Cameron Summerson.
I'm Liam Spradlin.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
I think we should just do the over and over again for 45 minutes and then release this week.
Yep.
You know, that intro is actually fine. So
That one actually was fine. It wasn't until after the intro just now that you started to cut out again. So it seems Google cut us a little bit of slack.
Yeah, let's just.
That's good.
Thanks,
get forced
Google.
to mouth.
I'll just make sure that I don't have anything useful to say this whole rest of the show, and then we'll be okay.
Okay, like every week.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
Snap.
So guys, I have some urgent breaking news. I've extracted the S Pen from the Note 5.
Yay.
Oh,
It lost its crown in the process, so the little clicky tip is no more.
does that mean you can't put it all the? Does that mean you can't put it all the way? 'Cause
Oh no, that clicky tip is up in there, and it is not going to come out without a full disassembly.
But the detection thing is still broken, right?
Oh well, yeah. You know, I mean, the pen works, but I mean, you don't even want to stick it in the phone because then it sticks out like a quarter of an inch, and you've got a stylus poking you while your phone's in your pocket. Not
There's
to
a part
mention
of
it'll
me-
just fall out.
There's
there's a part of me that secretly thinks the majority of the people who have this issue are going to be tech bloggers. But that doesn't mean it.
I mean,
but
or
that
people, or
doesn't
people
happen to
with
other
kids.
people. Right. People. That would be the thing that I would be most concerned about.
Ooh boy, Matt, you're cutting out hard here. We'll see how it goes. It's pretty bad.
Should we
Okay.
just move on to the Nexus stuff? Let's just move on to the Nexus
Yes,
stuff.
let us.
Let's do
let
the
us
Nexus
do
stuff.
do the thing.
Let's do Nexus stuff.
So
So, Huawei, rumored to be the maker of an upcoming Nexus device this week, we had images that came, and it kind of sucks with some themes we saw from the new version, but there's this really weird camera hump on the back. I can't.
it looks like a Cylon sort of on the back of the phone.
I don't know. So I'm gonna Google that now.
It's like it's got a Cylon visor on the back. Yeah, it's like this big black strip at the top of the phone.
You know, it reminds me of the really, really old Motorola stuff, like the original Droid X.
How they had that giant camera hump because the camera modules were so much thicker than the
They're
phone.
like, it's super thin, and you're like, yeah, it's thin until you get up here, and then it's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it sort of rises up a little bit from the back, but not like dramatically, which makes me wonder why the giant black window. I mean, there must be some sort of sensor of some sort in there. I think we've been speculating that maybe it's something to do with Project Tango, but
I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem like it though, because the case in the other picture covers up pretty much all of it. So
I mean, if it just looks like that to look like that, I will not be okay with that.
yeah, it's not the best. I mean, the fingerprint reader, okay, because it's not clear. I don't think if the LG version's going to have that, but yeah, I mean, this is going to be the faster one, but then again, it's just Snapdragon 810 anyway. So
What's the other one? An 808?
808, yeah, same as the G4.
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, like, I don't know. God, this thing is ugly. I mean, I realize this may not be a final design, and that's okay. But if this is like close to, if this is what
I'm guessing it's pretty damn close to final.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
at
kind
this
of am
point,
too.
it would have to be pretty close.
And I don't like it at all. Like,
I mean, they better have a reason for making it look like that.
I don't even care what that reason would be, though. Like, to be honest.
Look, I'm not like. Look, it's just like if we're in Fantasyland for a moment and we're just like pretending that it has like magical Project Tango stuff in the back. Like, I would deal with that because that seems like it'd be really fun to play with. But if it's just like, hey, well, let's make this phone look different by putting this big black bar on the back, no, that's not okay, Huawei.
Yeah, but
it's very strange.
I mean, even admittedly, like if they were to put Project Tango stuff in there, that means they're going to price themselves out of the market and they're going to sell like 30 of them.
Well, I mean, like the Nexus 6 came out at $600 and whatever, $50.
I don't think this will be that expensive.
Yeah, I think they kind of learned their lesson about that. I mean, the Nexus 6 was like a last-minute replacement thing, so I mean, they couldn't really do the Nexus thing.
I would bet this starts at $499.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Well, if they're going to sell this at $499, they definitely ain't having no Project Tango stuff.
Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I mean, the Project Tango stuff is, I mean, the dev stuff has been priced at, you know, like whatever they want because it's a developer piece of hardware. It doesn't matter if people, you know, want to spend money on it as consumers. I mean, they priced it at $1,024 and then $512.
Right.
Like, they're just picking numbers.
Oh my God, Scuttlefield has the best analogy for the Nexus 6 render. It's like somebody took an HTC Re camera and like stretched it landscape. Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah. So here's my theory: is they release these images, they're going to read all the negative feedback about them, and they're going to go back and redesign the case, and it's going to push launch into next year.
And by then, we're going to put a Snapdragon 820 in it. There you go. We're confirmed. Done.
Sweet.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I guess I don't know. I'm leaning toward the LG one if I'm going to get one because honestly, I don't know if I want to buy another really expensive phone like ever again. It's not as compelling as it used to be.
I pretty much had my mind made up that I was going to buy the 5.7-inch one because I'm so used to the Nexus 6 now. I actually kind of like the size. But I would be okay going a little bit smaller. But after seeing this, I honestly think the new Moto X might be the way to go for me.
Yeah, new Moto X Pure Edition or Style or whatever. I'm going to call it the Style because that is a more easy to use name.
I don't know why they insist on calling it the Pure in the U.S. Like
because some marketing person is like, oh, but in America, you used this name before, and it's I just want that person just sit down, shut up. Give the product a name that identifies it in an easy, accessible manner.
Yeah, I think the new Moto X looks really great. 5.7 inches is a very good size for like a flagship phone.
Yeah, I totally agree. Does the new Moto X have wireless charging? I can't remember.
No, it doesn't because Motorola hates that.
That's
I mean, I can live without that because it has the super fast quick charging now.
Isn't the 360? Isn't the 360 the only Android Wear watch that has wireless charging?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Motorola hates wireless charging, huh?
Doing it backward.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, nothing about that watch makes sense. Okay, it's running an OMAP 3. There's no point in trying to rationalize that device. It's like it dropped out of a parallel reality into like Motorola's project development HQ, and they're like, huh, well, how about that? Let's just make these.
Yeah.
I wonder if like they already had the design sitting on a shelf somewhere, and then Google's like, "Hey, we're gonna do Android Wear," and they're like, "Wait, we have something for that."
I mean, look, I have not looked into this. I don't know if it's true, but I've always secretly harbored a suspicion that the inside of that watch is leftover Smartwatch 2s.
Yes, it could be. Very well could.
But I thought I was always under the impression it was Moto Active rebuilt.
Or that's what I meant, Moto Active 2 or whatever that thing was.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We knew what you meant.
Okay.
I didn't. I was trying to figure out why the hell Motorola was working with.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to jack this conversation, and Wade County just posted a hilarious link in the chat that somebody's trying to sell a Canadian Moto X Play for $640 plus $60 shipping on eBay.
Someone's going to buy it. Someone is going to buy that because, like, certain elements of the internet, who shall remain nameless, it might be our Android, has been like promoting that phone like mad, like it's the best thing ever because it has a huge battery and 1080p screen.
It needs that huge battery for that stupid chipset in there.
I mean, look, the Snapdragon 615 is not an awesome chip.
Oh my god, I forgot that's got a 615. Oh,
it's going to be slow as hell.
And it has no gyroscope. So they couldn't make the chop motion work, so you can't turn on the flashlight all magic-like.
It's gonna get. I mean, in a year's time, it's going to be so just unusably slow with the 615 in it.
Like, don't buy something with a 615 right now, especially for that amount of money.
Yeah, the 620 is going to come out, and the 620 just spanks the 615. Way better chip, even if it's still ARM reference cores. They're newer ones.
I mean, like, if you like, I mean, you can buy a 615 phone if it's like a $250 phone.
Exactly.
But I mean, but don't spend like $300 or $400 or $650 on one.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. But it is hilarious that people are going after that phone like crazy.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand.
It's got to be, I'm guessing it's actually not negligibly, or it is negligibly cheaper. I can't say negligibly, I don't know why, but I'm guessing it is not that much cheaper than the Moto X style comparatively in terms of MSRP in the various regions it's being released in.
Yeah, the Moto X style is so cheap for what it is.
It's very aggressively priced.
Yeah.
When can I buy that, by the way?
They fake announced September 3rd. They posted it everywhere and then deleted it, and that's probably what the date is, but they haven't officially said so yet.
Okay, because I'm gonna wait. I kept telling myself I'm gonna wait and see what the new Nexuses are all about for sure before I don't want to do what I did last year and buy the Moto X and a Nexus back to back, because that's what I did within a month of each other, and I want to buy one and that's it. I don't want to buy them both.
Well, I'm probably.
What?
I was just gonna say, Cameron, if for work reasons, you should probably buy a Nexus.
Probably buy both.
Yeah, you know what? I might end up with both. I don't know.
You can just buy the Moto X for you, and then buy like the new Nexus 5 for work.
Wait, has somebody stuck fake names in the spreadsheet?
Yes.
I don't remember this happening.
So, for our next topic, we're going to kick the mic over to Ava.
The non-existent female member of our deeply diverse podcast crew.
Yes, but we should move on because there was some interesting news from. I think this is the first time we've said this on the show. Interesting McDonald's this week. Hopefully that's the last time we go as well. So Android Pay has been a thing we've known about since before Google I/O. If you read the site, obviously, but it was officially announced at I/O this year, and it looks like we might be seeing that pretty soon. So what do you take from that, David?
Well, just go ahead and ignore this story because then it didn't happen. It's Thursday, and this was supposed to launch on Wednesday, according to the McDonald's memo, but it didn't. And then TechCrunch came out with an article yesterday where I'm guessing somebody at Google finally got out to them and said, no, it's not going to launch today. So I guess what happened is that McDonald's got a date a while ago, and then Google never bothered to tell them, no, never mind. Or they did bother to tell them, and this information never disseminated down in the way it should have.
You know what strikes me as amusing about this entire Android Pay launch thing? Like, almost nothing is going to change for people who use wireless payments, because you already have Google Wallet, and all of the same stuff is going to work. It's just going to have a different name, and there's probably going to be like a different app.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And employees are going to have to understand that Android Pay is what they have to tell people they can use versus Google Wallet.
They don't even know what Google Wallet is.
Yeah, I was going to say basically all this is going to do is confuse the shit out of the people who do try to use it.
I use Google Wallet at Walgreens all the time, and their payment kiosks now say Android Pay. Like all of the Google Wallet mentions.
Like it's already there.
Yeah, like and you know what? And nothing is going to change when it officially launches. Like nothing is going to change because all of it's just a name.
It's true. Now I've seen the signs at my Trader Joe's down the street since June. They've been there that long, because they, I assume they bought the POS terminals, because the stickers are like on. They look like something that comes with the terminal because they're very new ones, and they say Android Pay and Apple Pay on them. So yeah.
So I think wallet to pay for something in the real world all of one time, and this was actually 2 weeks ago. The Papa John's app will let you pay with Google Wallet through the app. Order a pizza, I pay for it with Google Wallet because I'm like, oh, it's, really easy. I won't have to enter in my card information or anything, and I pay for it, and then they come for the pizza and they say, yes sir, I need to see you paid for this with, and I'm like, I don't have a Discover card. And so the guy almost didn't give me my pizza until I spent some time showing him the receipt emailed to me that indicated that I paid for this transaction.
I've never had a pizza person ask.
That's never happened to me either. I think that guy was totally trying to steal your credit card. He's I need to take a picture of this and actually.
Well, I don't know. It might be a regional thing because I work in pizza delivery and we were instructed that we're supposed to. So it's possible that.
I mean, I've seen that disclaimer when ordering a pizza, make sure you show your card to the delivery person, but nobody asks, nobody cares.
Yeah, that seems silly. I'm guessing somebody was new on the job.
It's entirely possible.
That or seriously, he was trying to steal your credit card. Excuse me, sir, could I have the last four of your social security number to enter into our system here?
And also your mother's maiden name. I'm just really interested in genealogy. That's all.
First pet. Name of the street you were born on. Oh boy. But yeah, so it didn't launch yesterday, Wednesday 26th. So we don't know when Android Pay is happening. Probably soonish though, because Subway also had a false start where they posted a thing and said Android Pay is now available at Subway yesterday. So clearly Google had been telling companies, yeah, it's going to launch on 26, and then they did exactly what Google does and never mind, it's actually going to launch at a later date.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they did have the wrong date about Samsung Pay as well because they said that was the 21st. And
yeah, they put the release date of the phone, even though the beta for Samsung Pay came out 4 days later, and the official launch isn't until next month. So yeah, the memo was weird, but the Subway thing corroborated that other companies had the same information.
So I guess the moral of the story is McDonald's leaks are not as reliable as Verizon leaks.
It's true.
So we should just look for those.
Verizon, America's leakiest coverage.
Ha 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 ha.
All right, so let's talk about Google Now. There was some interesting news, and Ava is going to tell us all about it regarding the Google Now team and, well, the fact that they really just aren't the same. They're just not the same anymore. That Google Now team, they're not the same.
I just want to clarify that there is no one on this podcast named Ava. Just for anybody who is a first-time listener, all three of you.
Yes, that's just a joke that we're having today, apparently. Okay, so yeah, the deal with Google Now is almost all of the people that were involved with creating it are gone now. They all left the company. Presumably, they were also killed by Google to keep the trade secrets from leaking out. But I guess there's only one person left at Google apparently who was involved in creating Google Now, and everybody else left in the months before Google I/O this year, apparently because they were upset about the new CEO situation and Sundar Pichai's lack of focus on Google Now.
We actually received a quote from that last Google employee. Okay, Google, what is the loneliest number?
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know that this is really telling about the way Google is operating, but they did apparently move Google Now from an Android-specific project into the search group, and that precipitated a lot of people leaving. But I think Google as a company wants to use Google Now in a lot of different products and not just in mobile devices. But the people who created Google Now always felt like it was a mobile-centric feature.
Makes sense. I mean, I can see why you'd want to put it under search because it is essentially inextricably linked to search.
By the way, if you say, "Okay, Google, loneliest number," it actually returns a calculator that says the loneliest number equals and then 1. It's great.
Wait, has anybody ever asked that before? Because if so, we could probably write a post about that. Or if not, excuse me.
There's
Pretty great.
I don't know if you can see it, but that's what it looks like.
Oh my God, that's
That's
amazing.
pretty good.
I wonder if I'm gonna Google this right now to see if anybody. Okay, Google Easter egg loneliest number. As I know that's an old thing. Never mind. Somebody discovered that. Actually, it looks like that was a thing all the way potentially back in 2011.
Wow.
Oh, so that was before Google Now?
I was waiting for you to say it looks like we had an article about it and I wrote it.
that has happened to me before.
It has. It actually happened in our celebrating 10 years of Android series ago.
Okay, so this week's 10 years of Android, we're going back to Froyo. And last week I didn't have any trivia questions for Gingerbread because I was broadcasting from Artem's house and I just didn't have time to put together questions. So this week I did. Our last set of questions were of course for Honeycomb and they were too easy. So I've attempted to make these almost ludicrously hard to the point that I would think that maybe it wasn't fair. But we have a 4-person panel this week of experts.
Yeah.
So there's 6 questions, and whoever wins, well, I mean Ryan's probably going to win because he's won all of them so far.
I mean, if we're keeping score, which I guess we are, then I win.
Ryan is our reigning champion. We will do a seeding and unseeding methodology for the whole, 4 of these that are left. All right, so our first Android 2.2 question. What major feature of the Chrome browser was incorporated into the stock Android browser in version 2.2?
Is it incognito?
I was going to say tabs.
No, it's
Nope.
Flash? I mean,
That wasn't a feature of the browser at the time. That was still just a third-party plugin.
well,
is it?
okay, I'll give you that.
Okay, this one was kind of hard. It was the V8 engine the V8 JavaScript engine was finally a part of the stock Android browser, so browsing was a little less slow. I'm not actually sure what kind of metric difference it made.
0.
Probably, yeah, probably.
I mean, it probably just got us closer to Chrome for Android being easy to build, basically. So question 1 was a wash, I guess.
Wash.
So
I think that's
this
the
one
first. I think that's the first one that Ryan hasn't gotten.
You stumped us. Good for you.
Yeah. So this one is about the home screen and the stock launcher. So what element was added to the home screen stock Android launcher in Froyo?
The shortcuts next to the app store.
Yes. Yeah, phone and browser.
Yeah, Matt's got it. It was shortcuts for phone and browser, which were bespoke icons. They were grayscaled versions of the phone and browser apps, and you couldn't adjust them. They were not user editable. I remember that. And that was a reason to download a third-party launcher, because you could edit that stupid thing.
Launcher Pro for life.
Yes, Launcher Pro for life.
Or
right.
for versions 2.3 and below.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, what was that guy's name? Federico Cardinale?
Cardinales, I think.
Cardinale. Okay. He had or has a great name.
Look, the Launcher Pro update is still happening. It's coming.
It is. It's on the way. So, this long-dead stock Android app received a significant visual overhaul in Android 2.2.
Oh my god. What?
It's an app that was included with stock Android.
Can you repeat the question?
Isn't anymore. And did get a pretty significant UI update. So I'll give you. It was a mobility related.
But what the hell was Long Dead by Froyo?
No, it's long dead by now.
Oh, okay.
Long Dead by now.
I understand now.
Stock app.
See, boy, these are a lot harder.
Was it gallery?
Mobility related.
Oh, mobility related.
So wait, it was bundled with the OS.
Bundled with the OS.
Is it Sim Toolkit?
What was it? Goggles?
No, Goggles was introduced around the time of Android 2.2, but not a feature. Actually, I think Goggles was released with 2.1 maybe. I'm not sure though. So nobody's going to get that one either, apparently. It is the car app.
Oh my God, car home!
I was-
Holy shit!
I
I
was
haven't
thinking
thought about
that.
car home
Wait,
in
did that-
so long.
That
It did. I remember being so excited.
It went to
about the update,
tiles
too.
from being this kind of like
right.
semicircular list.
Yep. Excuse me. I remember being so stoked about the update for that app.
So, question 4. This one maybe is a little easier. So, an Android app for the following third-party service launched as part of Froyo with Google's design assistance. What was that app? Very
Twitter.
popular app. Yes, Twitter. Matt's got it again. So, yes, Google actually helped design the Twitter app alongside Twitter because it utilized that one. Remember the clouds they animated and stuff on the Twitter home screen?
it was
And yeah, so that was when Google had this. It was basically telling to everybody you had to have this grid of activities that the app launched to, and that's how you did apps. So yeah, good times. Question number 5. Matt's ahead 2 with everybody else at nothing so far. So looks like this week's crown could go to Matt. These two, this one's really obscure. I'm sorry. I should have made them less obscure. These two stock apps went from dark themes to light themes in Android 2.2.
I have a feeling you got your questions from the article I'm looking at right
You're cheating.
Ah, damn it. He's looking at the pictures I have on. Yeah. I basically went by the pictures in Ron's history of Android.
That's
So,
cheating.
So
Matt,
the answer, by the way, is Google Talk and USB
wow,
dialogue.
Matt's got up the article. We are
This is not-
disqualifying this week's
fair.
result. I'm going to give that point for Twitter to Ryan.
Oh, damn it.
Matt is out of the running. So now it's anybody's game. This one's easy. What was the name of the compiler that was introduced with Android 2.2? It was a big deal.
Just in time.
Yep, it was the just-in-time compiler, which sped up the execution of apps because it would convert their Java code into native bytecode, or was it Java bytecode into native code? Don't know programmer things.
Java into native, probably.
Yes, so it basically took Java into native, and it made apps run faster. So Ryan wins again.
I mean, more or
mostly
less,
because
I
Matt
guess.
is a big dirty cheater.
Yeah. Also not good at hiding is cheating, apparently.
Yeah, I know.
And next week I will make the questions easier because it's apparent that everybody has forgotten everything
just
about these versions of
overshot.
it.
You were like, they got all
Man.
these right. We got to make them harder, and you made them so hard.
I thought the honeycomb ones were really difficult too, but
Damn, I so wish that I didn't have a broken brain for the past few weeks because
that's what you're gonna blame it on.
those would have been fun. Well, I started using Android with Eclair, and I barely used it, and then got Froyo. So most of this stuff I definitely don't remember because I was so new to it back then.
Yeah, my first phone was Nexus 1, which shipped with 2.1, so I remember Froyo vaguely. I remember being excited about the update. That was actually my introduction to Android Police. We hosted the update, I think, in May of 2010.
Yeah,
And,
that would have been
my
like
first one was.
after, like 2 months after the site existed.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and launched in March of for a little Android Police history there. So, going to Froyo itself.
So Wade County in the chat room said live wallpaper was on right, and I think we just the Nexus 1 launched with live wallpapers in 2.1.
Yes, so it was Eclair that introduced live wallpapers, which we will discuss next week. Froyo is probably many people's introduction, though. Maybe I'm not sure if the live wallpaper from the Nexus 1 was included with all Eclair builds necessarily.
It wasn't. I remember
Okay.
specifically having to sideload it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that leaf wallpaper was on most devices, though.
Yes, that makes sense. I recall that being quite old too.
Yeah. But the Froyo update was weird because like it added a lot of like basic things specifically to the Nexus One. Like it unlocked all 256 megabytes of its RAM. It enabled the different colors for the notification light, and it enabled access to the camera flash as a flashlight. Like you just couldn't do that before without root. It was it was very weird that it didn't launch with these things, but
That was that update, huh?
yes, that was
But didn't OEMs continue to flout the flashlight API? I mean, because Google introduced a new flashlight API with Lollipop, didn't they?
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, there wasn't a flashlight API. I do remember a flashlight being accessible, but I don't know what the deal was.
I think most phones, Froyo and later, had a way to toggle that on. Like
Android M adds the native flashlight API. There was no native API for that previously.
Well, there was some way to do it. I remember
maybe on the Nexus One they enabled that in some specific way.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. Like specifically on the Nexus One, like that was one of the few 2.1 devices that existed. You couldn't turn on the flashlight. Yeah. I remember HTC had like their own special flashlight app on their phones.
Well, I mean, remember a lot of the American carriers at the time would strip out the flashlight apps that OEMs provided because there was a fear that you would burn out the flash bulb or break the device because it would get so hot. I remember that because, like, on the HTC Desire HD for AT&T, there was no flashlight app, even though the international version of the Desire HD had a flashlight app. It was called the Inspire 4G on AT&T, but it's the same phone. Yeah, those were weird days.
They were so weird thinking about it. Like, looking back and thinking about, such strangeness. Froyo was also the first build with USB tethering and Wi-Fi hotspot.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then you couldn't use it on any phone except for the Nexus One.
Yep, you couldn't use it anywhere, and carriers were all pissy about it, and it was, I definitely remember the dark days of tethering.
Well, yeah, the carriers would all put their own flavor of tethering on there, and then you'd have to root it and throw something on there if you wanted to use it.
Man, I kind of miss those days.
Without paying
definitely have to tinker with your phone more to get the full level of functionality.
It's pretty crazy, like, thinking about it, because I mean, my first Android phone was a Motorola Droid, and the major it shipped with Eclair, and then Froyo was of course the first major update to it. God, thinking about all the shit that I had to do to get my phone to do the stuff that I wanted it to back then, versus now, I haven't even unlocked the bootloader on my Nexus 6. It just does everything that I need it to do without any sort of modification.
It took forever to set up phones back then because there was no cloud integration of stuff except for like your email.
Yeah, I remember what I had to do. I would write down a list of apps.
Yep.
And then after I reset my phone or flashed a new ROM, I would go through that list and install everything again.
See,
I totally remember that shit too.
The thing about back in the Froyo days, like the app backup stuff existed, and if you did it exactly right, you could get a phone to sync down the apps you had installed on like your last phone. But it was so sketchy that like half the time it just didn't work, or it would stop after like 3 apps.
Yeah, there were definitely some. I mean, Titanium Backup probably came out at the time of Froyo as well.
It probably did.
Yeah, that was a big deal. So another thing in Froyo, smaller feature. So at that time, the Android market was still being updated with the OS and not as its own application over the air. So Froyo introduced the fact that you could there was an update all button, and you could check mark a little box in the app screen to enable automatic updating.
Jesus, was that Froyo?
The future!
Seriously, the update all button? It's been that long ago, because just the other day I went and I had like 17 app updates, and I was like, oh yeah, update all, and then I just kind of laughed to myself, and I was like, man, I remember the days when update all didn't exist. What a pain in the ass. And it seems like it wasn't that long ago. It's so crazy that was Froyo.
It was indeed. We also got Flash with Froyo. That came out after Froyo. So I probably told the story on the podcast.
Froyo had the support, I guess, built in for the Flash.
Yeah, I probably told the story before, but that's the first time I met Artem, and actually Aaron Gingrich, who's right for the site as well. was when Adobe held an event in San Francisco announcing like the launch of Flash for Android. They had like Flash games demoing on Android phones, and it was a big deal. Everybody's super excited.
Flash games on Android
we
phones.
were
Oh,
so
yeah.
excited for Flash on Android. We're like, finally, we're going to be able to watch all this video and play these games. And then like we were kind of reminded pretty quickly how crappy all of that stuff.
It's like, oh wait, I hate this on my computer. I hate it worse on my phone.
Oh man, yeah.
But the people who defended Flash functionality, I mean, they were vicious. They were some very brutal arguments were levied. You know, that when Flash was finally gotten rid of, that Google was losing customers, and that people wouldn't stand for an operating system that didn't support Flash.
I mean, I can sort
Right,
of see
because
that.
Apple has no.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of see the reason to have it at that time, because back in the Froyo days, there was still there was still a lot of Flash content on the web that you might actually want to see, but in like the next year or two, everything just switched over to HTML5, and it just wasn't necessary anymore.
And generally speaking, at that point in time, the web wasn't very scalable.
Yeah,
So-
a mobile optimized site was, I mean, it was basically just like a list of text links with a phony iPhone UI pasted on top usually.
Yes, exactly.
So a lot of times, if you were trying to browse to sites, you were browsing to their full sites because they weren't mobile optimized at all. And then you basically had a choice. You could either have it look crappy because it's got Flash on it, or you could have it look crappy because it's crashing, or both.
Yeah, I mean that was back in the days where restaurants would have Flash-based menus on their websites.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's still a big thing because all of these web developers had these cookie-cutter templates that they used to all build you a website for $500. It's a Flash website with animation.
It's a 640 by 480 non-resizable Flash window. It's
Yes.
a browser.
God. You're making me feel kind of
There are
nauseous.
still websites like that, and I hate ones that are like done in HTML5 too. Like we're gonna keep the Flash look, but we're gonna put some modern underpinnings in there.
I feel like the modern equivalent of the cookie cutter Flash website is one of those goddamn websites that messes with the vertical scrolling. So like you scroll down and nothing moves, but all the content on the screen changes. I can't stand that.
I hate that too.
Worst thing ever.
That's trash. I hate it.
That's Web 3.0, Ryan.
I don't want it.
It's terrible.
It is. Yeah, what else happened? So it looks like maybe goggles did come out at this time. Yeah, I'm not sure though.
I think Froyo added apps to SD, didn't it?
It did. It did add apps to SD.
That was a big deal because
It was.
phones had no internal storage.
Oh my God, I remember being so jealous because I had the Motorola Droid, which had 256 megabytes of storage, I think.
Oh my God, that's so
And-
weird to think about.
And my wife, I got her the Droid X, and it had a gig, 1 gigabyte, and I was like, God, you can store so much stuff, and I was so pissed. And then apps to SD came and was my savior.
And like God, like I remember there was like one of the Google apps was like huge in that period of time. I forget what it was, and it took up like 20 megs of space, and I was just like, God, that's so much space I could use for other things.
It's probably Gmail.
God, this is so funny to think about it now.
Oh, and I would clear
like-
cache all the time because like
Oh yeah,
cache-
I remember
cache
clearing
would, like,
app cache.
apps would have 40 megs of cache, and I'd be like, what the hell? I need this.
Where am I supposed to store these 5 pictures I'm gonna take here in just a minute? What the hell is going on?
I better go get another 1 gigabyte micro SD card. I think maybe 2 gigabyte was like the minimum sort of reasonable thing you'd have back then.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, like 16. I don't even think 16 gigabyte cards existed back then, and if they did, they were outrageously priced. So yeah, everybody had like 1 or 2 gigabyte cards.
And that was back when phones usually came with small micro
They
SD
did.
cards.
Yeah, they came
because
with like a
it was
2
so
or a
little.
4 gigabyte
I
card.
think the Nexus one came with like a 2, and the original Droid was maybe 8 or 4.
Yeah, that was Well, I mean, at the time, it was still actually genuinely useful for if you took photos or, God forbid, you tried to take video on a phone.
You needed a micro SD card because I mean,
Yeah.
you take 5 photos and your internal storage would be full.
Like taking video on an Android smartphone at that time was a surefire way to decimate your battery. Like,
yeah. And the video you got out of it was terrible anyway.
It was because the encoding was so intensive on those single and dual core processors. It was mostly single cores at the time.
Those all single cores in the Froyo era.
And they got pretty hot. I remember, I was getting into the dark side. I was like overclocking my Nexus 1 at this point.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Overclocking and undervolting.
Oh yeah. You always have to
God.
lower the voltage, otherwise you just it get too hot.
I really felt like I was getting away with something when I did that too.
I know.
I figured it out.
I remember how badass I felt when I used set CPU to overclock my Droid to 1 gigahertz.
Set
This thing is
CPU.
so fast.
You're not telling me how fast my processor goes.
It's like I'm gonna undervolt this thing so it doesn't overheat. I still get good battery life. Oh my god.
And then your system would crash daily because it was like, what is happening?
Yeah, but the Droid was one of the most reliable phones out there, though. It was pretty hard to kill it.
I'd be like, look, bitch, look at this quadrant score. What do you got?
Hold on, let me break out this mad Lin pack right here.
Yes, Lin pack.
Oh my god.
Those were the days.
Yeah,
so a big thing
seriously.
that came alongside Android 2.2 that later afterward. So Google laid the groundwork for voice actions. So eventually the voice actions feature for the Google search app came out, which was a huge deal at the time. You could say okay, or you could say you could press the voice button and say navigate to blah 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 address, and your phone understood that.
They bound that to like long press of the search button, right?
Yes. Which was actually one of my favorite things about the Nexus 1 was that long press search button.
Back when they had search buttons.
Yeah. I've never felt that OK Google is as reliable as that ever was. I mean, this is like the most like old, anti-technology curmudgeonly thing to say, but it was super easy to press and hold that search button.
I remember when phones started coming out that didn't have search buttons, and people were like upset.
Oh, yeah, they were.
How am I going to search in my apps?
Yeah, I was really upset about that because I used it all the time.
Well, the thought that Google would release it without a search button just was counterintuitive at the time, too, because it's like, well, search is what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of search, Android 2.2 actually also introduced like the multi-source search at the OS level, so you could select everything, the web, your contacts, or your apps, and you could search through those items like, specifically, which I believe Google actually took out of the OS.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was a period of time where they couldn't do that because of an Apple patent.
Yes, and now it came back with the Google Now app eventually, supporting phone search again. Samsung phones had to have it stripped out in an update. I think the Galaxy S2 had that issue. Yeah. Definitely some Apple-Google tensions on the rise in that period. Actually, probably at their peak right then.
Yeah, that was about the time that like everything was being crazy because, wait, what was the was 2.2 the update that enabled multi-touch on the Nexus 1?
No, that was 2.1 update 1, and that was the only feature it added apparently.
Okay, we'll talk about that next week.
That was a fun story. Yeah. Looks like you got multiple view support in the camera app, so you could tilt your phone portrait or landscape. That's when Google started letting people take portrait videos. That's when they ruined it for everybody.
They did it to themselves.
They did.
Well, you could have done it. You could have done it before then. It was just you had to like tilt your head sideways to read the menus.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, 720p displays. Those were that was
really.
I thought that was gingerbread.
That was Froyo.
That was a strange time to add it, considering there wouldn't be a 720p phone.
That was Froyo. Support for 720p 4-inch or larger displays.
Maybe as like an asset size in the OS.
Maybe. Who knows? But it was definitely a thing that came out in 2.2. That was actually in the original, like in the very first Froyo update. I mean, it wasn't even like 2.2.1 or .2 or .3 or anything like that.
We were far from a processor that could reliably push a 720p phone at that point.
Yeah. I mean, everything was like, what, 320 by...
640 by 480, I think, was the... Or no, excuse me, 800 by 480.
Or 854 by 480 for Motorola's phones.
Yeah, for Motorola's. For the Nexus 1, that was 800 by 480, I believe.
Yes, WVG.
That's
It was
Froyo.
720. It was 720 video, wasn't it? The 720 video that they officially started supporting.
That would make more sense because the displays
I don't
weren't even
think
there
so.
yet.
I think it. I'm.
I don't know. Because I thought it was 2.3 because that's when the Galaxy Tab came out, and I believe that had a 720p display. I'm not sure.
The Galaxy Tab definitely was 1024 by 600.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
halfway to 720p. It was almost there.
So close.
Halfway almost.
Yes. But yeah, that was, I mean, there's also the just-in-time compiler, which did speed things up in the operating system as far as app load times considerably, I guess. I'm not sure how much difference that really made in hindsight, but everybody's very excited about it at the time. And that's, I mean, Android 2.2 was a pretty small update comparatively. Gingerbread was considerably larger. You saw a lot more UI changes there.
That was a very significant update, man. I remember when that. I know y'all talked about that one last week, but God, I remember when Gingerbread came out, and I was so upset when I found out it wasn't going to come to the Motorola Droid because you had to have 1 gigahertz or faster CPU or some shit like that.
And you were like, "What the hell? I already overclocked this bitch."
I'm like, yeah, I did.
Guys, I have set CPU. Give me the update.
I know. I ended up running Gingerbread, a Gingerbread ROM for a really long time, but I totally understood why it wasn't allowed because it ran like shit constantly. But yeah, I was like, no, so I bought.
Yeah, what kind of processor did that Droid have? Was it an OMAP?
It was an OMAP.
It was an OMAP.
Yeah, it was an OMAP 3.
No, it wasn't 3, was it?
I thought it was.
Like that was like maybe an OMAP 2.
I thought it was an OMAP 2, yeah.
Maybe it was an OMAP 2. Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna look it up. Nexus
1 had a Qualcomm chip, didn't it? I remember.
It had a 1 gigahertz Snapdragon.
Yeah, it had whatever HTC was using at the time, which was a QSD 8250. Yeah, the Scorpion core. The Scorpion core was around for a long time though. That was the Qualcomm Adreno 200 GPU. Although we're going to get to that next week because that phone comes with the Claire. I guess this makes sense to talk about it right now. Although the Droid came with 2.0, which won't have its own week. Or did it come with 1.6?
No, it came with 2.0.
Okay, so the Droid and the Nexus 1 will be next week's phones of choice.
Okay, so Cam was right. It was an OMAP 3.
Yeah.
It was an OMAP 3430 at 600 megahertz, underclocked to 550 megahertz.
That's
Fancy.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, it had 512 megabytes of internal storage. I said 256 earlier. I had 256 megabytes of RAM.
Ah, yes.
So it could load all of its or half of its storage into its RAM at any given point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could load roughly as many apps as a Galaxy Note 5 and hold them in memory. Just about.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that is 2.2, which we're getting pretty far back here. I mean, once we get past down to Donut and Cupcake, which I always get confused because I never use them. I don't know how much we're gonna have to say, but next week's Eclair.
I think we'll mostly just laugh at screenshots of Donut and Cupcake.
Oh my God.
And all the people who are listening at home will be very jealous because they won't know what we're laughing at.
We won't say anything. We'll just kind of laugh to each other and be like, "Oh my God, look at that!"
Hey guys, look at this.
But we won't specify what it is we're looking at. Fantastic. And that's how you make a successful podcast.
That is exactly how you do it. We should move on to the rumors because we got a lot of those this week. Verizon Moto X Play coming as the Droid Max 2. So
if you were super amped up for that phone that you probably shouldn't be amped up for, you'll be able to get it on Verizon more or less.
Imagine that.
Yep, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's got a huge battery," but we won't tell you about how slow it is.
No, the advertising will definitely say blazing fast Snapdragon 615.
Yeah.
Yes,
like
I'm sure.
If I'm not mistaken, during the Moto X announcement, I'm pretty sure Michael straight up called it. It was like, I bet that Verizon will get the Play and name it like the Max 2 or something. And it was like, boom, he nailed it. So, shout out to him for calling that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then with the Droid Turbo 2 will also be happening. I guess that'll be more of a bespoke device for Verizon, I guess.
Yeah, so that will be very specific to Verizon, I believe. I think it also has, it might actually have an even faster turbocharger than the Moto X style will. Extra turbo. At least I heard that at some point, I think. So it's going to be, and actually, according to somebody I spoke to, the charger and the cable are linked together, so that if you want the fastest possible charging speeds, you have to use the full charging assembly that's included. Although that may not pan out. We'll see.
That is crazy.
It is crazy. But yeah, don't buy the Max 2. I mean, I know the Max name has so much like clout to it, I guess. But that's going to be a terrible idea to buy that phone. Just don't do it.
And I mean, and you're just saddling yourself with Verizon updates, and it's
Yeah, you are.
You might. I mean, you just buy the Pure. It'll work on Verizon, and you'll get much faster updates.
If you buy the Max 2, you'll set yourself up for a road of fury. Is that? Oh, god damn it! Not even the right reference.
Close enough.
Good job. Good job. You tried. You did your best.
I did. HTC has also done their best to rip off an iPhone. So the A9, the Aero 9, whatever we're going to call it, expecting soon. Some images leaked out this week, and Ronald is going to tell us all about it, even though he
does not.
There's no Ronald.
All right, I'm with Liam on this. It looks exactly too much like an iPhone.
Okay, here's my theory about this phone. Some version of this may come out elsewhere, but this is a phone designed to sell in China because
absolutely
it looks like an iPhone, which is a surefire way to get people interested in China. Sorry, I'm trying not to stereotype, but this is true. And it has one of those supposedly it has one of those MediaTek Helio processors with like the 10 cores, which is super popular in China, and it has a quad HD screen, which again, big number, very important in China. Like just the way phones are sold in China is very different than the way they're sold in a lot of other places. And this phone is just like exactly what will work in the Chinese market, and HTC is not in a position to screw around right now. So they're doing what is a pretty surefire bet instead of what is risky and interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a truly uninteresting phone. I mean, since it looks like it might get a kind of a design overhaul on this new device, but yeah, I seriously doubt we'd see this in America. I don't see the appeal, because there's no way, even with a MediaTek chip in there, if you're looking at the 2K screen and you've got that aluminum chassis, 4 gigs of RAM and a big battery, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah,
as HTC phones always are.
Yeah, I mean, HTC can't sell a premium device like that in the US right now when they just released the M9, 6 months ago.
Yeah, I think this is maybe even less about competing with Apple and more about competing with Xiaomi by providing a more Apple-like device.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they need something that sells so that they can sort of keep things going until their next real flagship.
Yeah, I just don't know if everybody was amping up this device or hyping it up in the last couple months, and it definitely looks like it's going to fall flat on most accounts, at least for the Western markets.
I mean, maybe it won't even come out here. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I think the only official mention of this device was the HTC CEO saying to investors in Taiwan that they were working on a Hero device for later in the year. I don't think that they've ever said like, "Hey, Americans, you're going to get a new Hero device this year."
Well, I feel like if they release it here, they would have to worry about.
Oh yeah, that's the other
lawsuit.
Thing. Yeah, Apple would not like that.
You have to wonder what the situation's there, because HTC and Apple did sign a big patent ceasefire agreement in which HTC is paying Apple not insignificant amounts of money.
Yeah, but
so I don't know what's going on with this phone.
So, like the trade dress stuff would be risky.
It's possible to have an agreement where HTC said, "Listen, we want to sell this phone in China, and we know you can't sue." Maybe their agreement doesn't cover China, and maybe HTC knows that they're, essentially, unable to get, there won't be any way for Apple to successfully stop them from selling in China. Whereas in the West, they might have recourse. It's hard to say lately, but yeah, it looks like an iPhone. So, and we may never see it here, so it may not matter at all.
Let's hope we never see it here, because honestly, I don't ever want to have to talk about it again.
I agree.
Well, on that note, we should move on to Cecil and his Moto 360.
That's pronounced Cecil, actually.
Is it? Oh, it's.
I thought it was Kessel.
Like the Kessel Run, sure.
With a hard C.
Not Sequel. Keckle?
It's going to be great when nobody understands what we're talking about.
Yeah, nobody. We have a spreadsheet of topics, and somebody's inserted fictitious names into topics, and that is the joke.
Also, somebody's doing it retroactively. There are more fake names on it than there were before.
Yeah, who's Carmen?
Carmen
was never mentioned.
I do want to point out their real names. They're not fictitious names. They just don't relate to anybody.
They're real names for fictitious people.
I don't know that I've ever met anybody named Cecil, so I can't really speak to whether or not that name is real.
But yeah, Cecil, he got the second generation Moto 3. Oh, we got more pictures of the second gen Moto 360 today of the S and L models, and the S1 is predictably smaller than the L1, and that's pretty much the Moto 360 second gen story.
Yeah. Small and large.
If you didn't
catch the SNL reference there.
And it has lugs. It has lugs now. I mean, those are really the three things. 2 sizes, lugs. That's what you need to know.
The boots. It comes with the free pair of lugs boots.
Lugs boots.
Flat tires too.
Yeah.
They're like Uggs, but they're actually just a Lithuanian ripoff made in a sweatshop in Eastern Europe. Lugs.
Lugs.
Oh, yeah. So that's the Moto 3. It still has a flat tire, so people still are going to be upset about that. And that's all there really is to know about it. There are a lot of Android Wear devices coming up here soon, so yeah.
In these days, Google is going to give everybody the okay, and there are going to be 8 new watches.
Yeah, I wonder when that day will be, or if it will ever come. It's hard to say.
Android
how far off is IFA at this point?
It's pretty close. So yeah, it's going to be starting next week.
So we'll probably have a handful there, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, we've got the Huawei watch. We know that Moto watch has happened at some point. Although I think Motorola will do their own little special party in America for that. I can't see Moto unveiling a watch at IFA unless there's going to be a bunch of them there. Asus has a Zenwatch 2, which still hasn't come out, which I'm sure they will bring to IFA and act like it is a brand new thing. And and then you have Huawei, and I guess those are the big ones. Maybe Sony will throw in a new smartwatch. Who knows?
Even if there are new watches announced, I always feel slightly let down because they seem to never actually be able to show how the watch actually works. Google always tells them to keep it in demo mode for some reason. Whether an update is coming out or something, I don't know, but it's always kind of
that was silly. We experienced that last year, and although how much you really going to learn from using it? It's an Android Wear device.
That's true, but I've just seen the same fake messages and fake weather forecast and other such demo cards.
Guys, I want a sideload quadrant for Wear.
Yes. Yeah. Why can't we do that?
So yeah.
We should probably do a word from our sponsor here.
We should. So this week's Android Police podcast is brought to you by Simple, a better way to do online banking. And we were going to do this thing with Simple, but unfortunately we just didn't have time because Cam hit his head, and it was going to be a thing we were going to do with Cameron and me. But maybe we could do it this week, and assuming Cameron's memory is intact for the last 7 days, maybe we could both log on to our Simple accounts or open up our Simple apps. What is the most interesting thing you've paid for with Simple this week, Cameron?
Oh my God, let me see.
I'm gonna look up mine here.
Define interesting.
I don't know. Anything that could provide a story. Some of that sweet curated content.
Take the most embarrassing thing, because that'll be interesting for us.
See, I don't know. I mean, I did just get back from out of town, so it's mostly just a lot of fast food and a lot of gas.
And some nipple clamps.
No, actually, I paid cash for those.
Okay, well, that's smart.
You can't leave a paper trail.
So, I mean, because that's just... Yeah, that's really weird.
Well, this has worked out well.
God, mine is really, really boring.
Yeah, mine's pretty boring too. I did print. Actually, I had to go to a FedEx store, which nobody ever enjoys going to a FedEx store, and I had to use my Simple Card to pay to use a computer because the Dropbox login on the copy machines to print stuff was broken because they had a software update that forced the side scroll in the UI to just stay at the top at all times, so you could never get the keyboard to disappear or scroll down enough to hit the sign in button. So whoever is responsible for that software update at FedEx, I hope you die. And you made my morning much more difficult than it needed to be. I don't actually hope you die. But yeah, that was fun. And so I paid $1.13 to print a parking ticket and not a parking violation, but a ticket to park somewhere. And yeah, on that computer, $1.13. That was the most exciting use of my Simple Card this week.
And mine, most exciting for me anyway, was I spent $4.99 in the PlayStation Store to buy Predator for Mortal Kombat X. So there's that. I used my Simple account for that because, come on, man, it's Predator.
Totally. So yeah, you can check Simple out, and you too can share your interesting Simple transactions if you want. Maybe you don't want to, so maybe don't. You can check them out at simple.com/Android, please. They're a better way to do online banking, and like we said in the past, you get awesome push notifications every time you buy something on your Android phone or your Android Wear device, which is really cool when you swipe the card and your watch buzzes within seconds, letting you know how much you spent. I've always enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I've said that like 80 times now, but I still do enjoy it. Every time it happens, I'm like, oh, that's neat.
I may have told this story, and I'll keep it as brief as I possibly can, but I was one night at about, I guess it was about 6:30 or something, all of a sudden my watch buzzed, and I looked down, and apparently someone had stolen my card information and charged, like, I don't know, it was like $78 or something like that. But yeah, I was able to catch it immediately and log into the app and put a hold on my card, contact Simple. They reversed the charge, had a new card to me in like 3 days. It was far less stressful than you would think that a situation like that would be when somebody jacks your card information. Still don't know how they got it, but that's not the important part.
A ringing endorsement indeed. So yeah, that's Simple, and we want to thank them for sponsoring the show. So, I guess it's time to move on to Samsung got Samsunged. Well, actually, we've had a lot of Samsung stories this week. Maybe
Can we just call this the Samsung's no good, very bad week?
Ooh, that's good. Somebody should write a book about
that. That is the episode title. I'm going to write that down right now.
Oh,
Samsung's
really?
no good, very bad week.
That is a great episode title.
Yep. So Samsung's no good, very bad week started when they pushed a questionable advertisement to people on devices, and I guess Ryan could probably tell us about that.
Yeah, so people, I think mostly who are on the last generation Samsung devices got a push notification telling them that the S6 Edge Plus is available for pre-order, so they could totally go and buy that if they wanted. And,
Ooh, man.
Good job, Samsung.
It was sketchy. It came through the Samsung push service. And that, I mean, is pretty unforgivable. That's not okay. You shouldn't do that. And I should point out the Samsung push service is updated through the Play Store, so that should technically be very against the rules. Samsung.
Yeah, that's not cool.
All right.
And in that article, I also just threw in, like, the day before that, I was using the S6, and the Pio remote app that Samsung bundles to do the IR Blaster stuff pushed me an ad for a TV show, which I thought was pretty unacceptable. Not Samsung's fault directly, but that they do put that app on.
They do put well, I mean, they skin it too. It's their app. Yeah. Peel just makes it.
Yeah. So it, I don't know how involved with that they were, but it was annoying and not cool.
Yeah, that is definitely not cool. So moving on to further not coolness, the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus and Note 5, they don't keep tasks in memory very long, and if you have a Galaxy S6 or S6 Edge, you've probably noticed this, that if you open more than 4 or 5 apps between opening an original app, so if you open one app, then open 4 or 5 apps in between that, and then go back to the app you originally opened, it's going to do a full reflow because it gets pushed out of the active memory. So we demoed this on a video, which you can watch. It's annoying, and it does slow down the phone. And because these should be very fast devices, but Samsung is managing the RAM so aggressively that essentially handicapping performance. There's no way you're getting that full 4 gigabytes worth of RAM power.
That's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. That is easily the most annoying, obnoxious, and frustrating thing about lollipop devices running 2 gigabytes of RAM. So why in the living fuck they would do it on a device with 4 gigabytes of RAM is absolute bullshit. Fuck you, Samsung.
Goodness. Samsung is ouching right now. Jeez.
Yeah, Samsung, I don't know why. I think my conspiracy theory on this is still that they do this because they know RAM Cleaner and Task Killer and all these stupid apps like Memory Boosters are so popular. And when people open that app on a Samsung smartphone, Samsung wants people to see that the bar isn't all the way full. They want there to always be some space there. So it's like, oh, my phone's not out of RAM. Because otherwise, Samsung, we email people saying, blah, 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 you don't know what you're doing. Your phone's always out of RAM.
No, they don't know what they're doing because their phone kills apps and it's got 4 gigabytes of RAM. So basically, they're just proving that they don't know what they're doing.
And people are still like calling this a bug, but it's definitely not a bug. This is the way Samsung wants it to be. Even if
I think they've proven that, yeah. Because every time everybody's pointed this out, Samsung's never responded. So you have to assume it's an intended behavior if that's the case.
I mean, this is the sort of thing that only power users will notice, and most people don't hop back and forth between 5 apps.
Yeah, I mean, but if you do use your phone intensively, and trust me, I've been in a car with Artem, and that is some intense phone usage.
I can imagine.
Oh man, you have no idea. It's great. I only thought I was going to die a few times. He's pretty good at it, but some people who use their phones a lot, this will get annoying. I mean, I know it gets annoying for me anytime an app reflows anyway, because if I need to get back to something, like if I'm going between 2 apps and I need a piece of information taken from one to another, and especially if I lose my scroll point in an app where I had specifically stopped somewhere, that drives me nuts.
Me too. And also, I mean, the car thing, that's really the main thing is 2 memory hogging apps, music and maps. I constantly use those at the same time.
So is it killing off things that use notifications like music player?
Yes, it can do that. So that's actually the most vitriol comes from people who've experienced it killing maps and music.
I've never had it do that. I've never had that happen on the S6. I mean, I've seen apps reflow more than they should, but I've never had something with a notification be ended.
Yeah, no, some people have said that music especially seems to get killed more often than they would like. So, it's definitely an issue, and one that Samsung obviously doesn't seem to have much of an interest in addressing. So, I mean, and this is why you buy a Nexus phone, I guess. Not to sound like too much of a Nexus fanboy, but
this is why you buy anything
doesn't screw with Android that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, at least you can still break your Note 5 with the stylus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pengate, is that what we're calling it?
Pengazi.
Pengazi.
Ooh, that's even better.
It really is. So we're going to thank Ryan for coming up with that, even though I think several other people simultaneously came up with it.
It's, that's independent convergence of ideas.
Yes, it is. Good ideas. So if you haven't been following this story, basically the Galaxy Note 5, and for those of you who are watching the YouTube video, I can show you, here's a Galaxy Note 5. Here's the S Pen that came with it, and if you're looking at the S Pen, you'll see that the little clicky top that Samsung was so proud of, well, it's not on mine anymore because the S Pen became hopelessly lodged in the phone, and in order to extricate it, I had to use this little clamp tool to pull out the S Pen by the tip of the pen, and the clicky top got stuck inside the phone. But the main story is that if you insert the S Pen backward into Note 5, even about a little over halfway, which you could do by just dropping it in there and letting gravity do its work, you will undoubtedly break the pen detection mechanism, or at least severely damage it, because it's a little metal tab that's soldered onto the motherboard with a tiny little solder, and you're going to damage it when you pull it back out. So this is a design flaw because you shouldn't be able to put the pen in backward in the first place. And I mean, some people say, well, why would you do that anyway? You're an idiot, which actually a lot of people have called me an idiot in the last few days, more than normal. So it's been an extraordinary week. But as I said, kids are going to do this. Drunk people are going to do this. People who think it's funny to do this but are terrible human beings are going to do this.
Yeah, it shouldn't be possible to like pick up somebody's phone and just surreptitiously break it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, especially a nearly $800 phone. It's just so it's also clear the other thing that I think is the smoking gun here. If you look at the Samsung user manual, the international one for the Note 5, and go to the S Pen page, it says, "Warning: do not insert S Pen in the incorrect direction. Damage may result to S Pen or smartphone." And it does obviously do that. Samsung is, truthfully advertising there. So Samsung was aware of this when they wrote the manual for the phone, and yet they still decided to ship as is. And
just so we're clear, I want to just explain. The fix for this could have been make the clicky end a 1/16 of an inch larger.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. But that would require redesigning the shape of the pen outlet, which may have been frozen at that point in the design. Or really the way they could do this is in even a fix that would work now is just to put a little tab on the end of the clicky end that sticks out just a fraction of an inch, and then it won't get in there, and you'll never be able to put it in. You may have this little tiny edge that sticks out of the phone, but honestly, nobody's going to notice that, and would completely mitigate the problem. So my guess is that Samsung eventually will respond to this by distributing a redesigned S Pen and probably fixing people's phones free of charge. I think anything less than that probably would be kind of messed up.
Yeah, this has blown up probably a lot bigger than they thought it would.
Yes, it has. It's actually Android Police's most popular YouTube video of all time. So we were not expecting that, certainly. But,
I really wanted the video breaking it in the first place. Can you get another one?
Yeah, let me just email Samsung and ask for another Note 5, and I'll be like, I promise I won't break this one. Oops.
It's just so easy to break. It's not your fault.
It just fell in, just gravity. Obviously, if you have a Note 5, don't break your Note 5 unless you really want to break it, in which case I won't stop you. But, yeah, this seems like a design flaw on Samsung's part, and I think they do owe everybody a form of addressing it that is not read the manual, because that really never goes over well.
I think OnePlus should do a promotion where if you use pen backwards in your Note 5, you get a free invite to buy a OnePlus 2.
Send us a picture of your stylus backwards in Note 5. We'll send you an invite to pay $400 for our phone.
Yeah, my problem with the whole read the manual / don't do this response, both from Samsung and from people at large, is that if designers always said to user errors, just don't do it that way, then nothing would ever work. Everything would be terrible. So that's not really a legitimate response.
It really isn't. Yeah.
Is it correct? Give you a printed manual with the phone anyways? You have to actually go seek it out online?
So the best part is actually if you buy the AT&T version, AT&T sees themselves as the arbiter of all support for every phone they sell. So they include an AT&T Quick Start Guide and an AT&T Device Help app. There's actually no link, as far as I'm aware, on the AT&T Note 5 to the actual Samsung online manual. You'd have to Google it. Even if you go into help in the settings menu, it's a very basic, simple help system. Nothing about do not use the S Pen this way is in there. And then AT&T's guide obviously has nothing about that. The one in the box or online, they both contain no warning whatsoever. And I have to assume that's true of other variants as well. I think Verizon probably includes their own instruction manual, and probably Sprint does too. Sprint seems like the kind of carrier to mess around with that stuff. So yeah, not a cool situation, I guess.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. All right, so we got a quick product review from our guy Ryan or Alexander, or one of the two. Either Ryan or Alexander will be doing a review on the Zenpad S 8.0.
Yes, I'll be brief because we are running super long. But here's the deal. It is basically a Zen phone that is actually an 8-inch tablet, which is kind of good and kind of bad. I mean, the hardware is pretty good for the price. It's $200 to $300, depending if you want the one with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage, or 32 gigs of storage and 2 gigs of RAM. I mean, it's the hardware is nice. It's really thin. It feels reasonably high quality. The screen is very good. It's a 4:3 tablet, and it's the same resolution as the Nexus 9, but it is running Asus's version of Android, the same thing that they put on the Zenfone, and it has some problems. There's a lot of junkware, and some of the OS stuff is just kind of weird. Like, it keeps telling me to like force close apps that are running in the background, like Google Play services and Netflix. Like, shut up, Asus. I don't want to force close those. And I don't know, and it doesn't look super nice, but I mean, it's tolerable. It's not as bad as some Android skins that I've used. So I mean, if this had stock Android, like if this were a Nexus tablet, it would be fantastic, but it is not. So it's just okay.
It's just okay. The Asus Zenpad S 8.0, just okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it's a very comfortable tablet to use because it's really, thin and light and, good screen. Buy it if you want like a cheap little tablet.
Yeah, it seemed like a good device overall. Yeah. I mean, for an Android tablet, because it's a good deal, and it has it has one of the fastest processors you can get right now. That Atom is not a slow chip at all.
Yeah.
So
it's snappy and it gets pretty good battery life. So.
Intel's great at Wi-Fi. The cellular battery life, a little less so.
Yeah.
Okay, so going to move on to a voicemail and an email real quick. I'm going to play a voicemail through the microphone. It's going to sound awful, but David's gonna fix it in post, so it sounds great then. In the meantime, here.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Matt with his unending list of questions. I have a stage fright question that I have not heard spoken about. There's only two ways that you would get stage fright. Either a friend is infected and it distributes through their contact list, or you get a random SMS. However, we are constantly being bombarded with SMS spam. Only gets through, most of which I believe is blocked by the carrier. I don't hear that spoken about during the stage fright conversations and articles, where the main vector for a bad guy to randomly just try to infect my phone is already being blocked by the carriers because they are filtering the SMSs to filter out spam. Just wondering what your thoughts on that were. How does that process work? I'm curious how they know what's spam and what's not, and how pervasive carriers filter our SMS messages. And look forward to hearing your thoughts on the matter.
Well, I think if we had Justin on the show, he'd probably have a good answer for you. But a carrier filtering of SMS messages has happened for a long time. I think they have it's just like any spam detection system. They're just looking at the message body, I assume.
Yeah, and I don't really think that anybody is actively using stage fright to exploit phones.
No, I don't think there's been any in the wild, or at least successful version of it been spotted yet.
My understanding is that address space layout randomization in Android makes it pretty hard to reliably jump from the SMS app into general memory. So, I mean, it's not like they'll automatically be able to like send you this message and suddenly they own the phone. I mean, there's got to be some other exploit involved anyway, probably.
I think with stage fright we saw, even though it's not been an exploit that has any actual threat to anybody in the wild at this point, it was kind of more of a soapboxing moment for people to talk about Android security, and that's why it really got most of the attention it did. Actual exploit was significantly more rare. Sorry, I had to block a call. It was a stage fright call.
It's not an MMS with stage fright. That would be really great if somebody had like hacked you right then while you were talking about it. Like, I'll show him. Call it not a big deal. But yeah, so it's probably not like a huge deal. But
the folks who uncovered this thing, we're going to talk about how to achieve this exploit at what the Black Hat convention. Has that even happened?
Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago, I think. I mean, they talked about like the details of the exploit. They revealed it to
Yeah,
Google
they
ahead
did.
of time.
Yeah, so
to make
it was
patches.
disclosed and everything, and yeah, they did that. So yeah.
So in theory, the how to use it is out there, but it was also made aware to the companies to fix it ahead of time. And yeah, sometimes the information has to be out there to get the fixes, and really that's what it's there for.
All right, I guess let's move on to our last question here.
Yes, last we have an email from Brian. He says, I read somewhere that the Snapdragon 620 performs as well or even outperforms the 810. Deductive reasoning you to believe that 620 doesn't perform as well than a chip with a higher number. Could you guys shed some light on this issue? Thanks.
So the 620 will be the new CPU core, right?
No, the
No?
620 is going to be based on the Qualcomm's already got on their website. You can actually just Google, Snapdragon 620, and Qualcomm already has a splash page for this chipset because they're desperate to let everybody know that there is going to be a new one. And I believe it has A72 cores, which are a next generation low power core by ARM. So they're high power, but they're low power. So they're clocked at 1.8 gigahertz, and they should be better than those A57s. They still have the A53 low powers, and it's still a big little. But the other thing, it's going to have a next generation Adreno GPU, which is going to make a huge difference because the GPU in Snapdragon 615 is hot garbage, it's just awful. And it's going to have more support for better LTE. It might have a new DSP in there and stuff too. But yeah, this is going to be a significantly better chip than the old 615, which was saddled with a crappy GPU and processor cores that got very warm and were not power efficient at all.
Yeah, I mean, what it looks like probably the big advantage to this is it'll only be quad core, so
No,
it
it's
shouldn't speed
Octa.
up. Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I see. Oh, they're both okay. Two quad core A72s. Okay, well, hopefully that they're just a lot more efficient than the 820's cores then and won't overheat like that one does.
Yeah, so we will see. I mean, I have higher hopes for the Adreno GPU. The next generation of Adrenos is supposed to be a pretty big jump. So we can see graphical performance that's respectable on 1080p phones with this chip, whereas with the 615 on 1080p, it's pretty rough. So, yeah.
All right, good deal. We have a contest? I don't even know what that is. A contest going on the website right now. It's for a pair of headphones, actually two pairs of headphones, audio loans, which our very own Cameron Summerson laid badass. So you should get yourself entered to win one of those. That contest is going on until mid-1st. Also, there's some coupon codes and discounts on some headphones if you don't win. So either way, we look forward to getting some more voicemails from you for next week's show. You can email us at podcast@androidpolice.com or give us a ring at 530-HELLO-AP. That's 534-35-5627. Also find us on Twitter at Android Police and on Google Plus and Facebook.
Totally said you sounded like you were saying we were giving away pairs.
Pairs.
We're giving away pairs. Android Police is giving away a shit ton of pairs.
You'll get
Free
some,
fruit! Free fruit for
baskets.
everyone!
Fruit baskets will be going out to your homes very soon.
We just want you to all be healthy.
In anticipation of Android P in 2018,
If it's not
pairs.
If it's not a pair, then David's gonna have to shove a pie in his face.
Oh my god.
Have we gotten pie suggestions for just in case you lose the pie?
We did. We got two suggestions, which admittedly I was a little disappointed with the volumes. If there's one thing that I think Android podcast listeners should rally behind, it's David and pies in the face.
What was that all about, by the way? I missed.
So I managed to goad David into making another pie bet, but
An unlosable pie bet.
one that he's
I'm
probably
not
going to win.
Yeah.
If there are not two Nexus phones this calendar year, he has to pie himself.
That's why we didn't get pie suggestions.
All we can really hope for is that they delay one of the Nexus phones just a few months. Just release it on January 1st.
That camera bump is too hideous to live.
We've got to push that back to January.
All right. So we ran a little long this week, so bye to our live audience, and I'm going to stop the broadcast.